Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're diving into something genuinely groundbreaking in the GovTech space. We're looking at this exact intersection where the bleeding edge of AI and Web3 totally collide. And they're colliding to fix a massive fundamental flaw in modern democracy. We're unpacking CivicSys. It's this absolutely fascinating project designed to tackle the age-old problem of political accountability. But, instead of just complaining about it, this system throws the absolute cutting edge of tech at the problem. We're talking zero-knowledge blockchains, sovereign identity, and AI. By the end of this, we're going to see exactly how this digital ecosystem is attempting to literally rewrite the relationship between everyday citizens and the institutions that govern us.
So, to really understand why CivicSys even exists, we've got to start with a visceral, real-world crisis of trust. Think about the number 90%. Back in 2018, Peru held a major referendum. The public was asked if they wanted to return to a bicameral system, meaning a two-house parliament. A staggering 90% of citizens firmly rejected it. I mean, the people made their voices heard loud and clear, right? But what happened? Congress just brought it back anyway through a new law, completely bypassing the need for another referendum. When 9 out of 10 citizens literally say no, and the government just goes ahead and does it anyway, the social contract totally fractures. And the crazy thing is, this wasn't just an isolated incident. In another instance, 61% of the public rejected a recent amnesty law, defying even the Inter-American courts, but Congress passed it anyway. Just incredible.
And well, this brilliantly illustrates the silent challenge of modern democracy. There's just this massive distance between public will and legislative action. We live in the most connected era in human history, right? Yet everyday citizens have literally never felt so far from public decisions. Every single day, millions of people work, study, build families, and dream of a better future. But when a new law passes that fundamentally changes their lives, they rarely feel they were actually listened to. It's a glaring demonstration of politicians legislating behind closed doors, completely disconnected from the people they supposedly represent. The core issue here isn't just polarization, it's this vast, unbridgeable distance.
Section 1. A digital civic chamber, verifiable oversight.
So how do we actually bridge this massive gap? Well, CivicSys proposes a digital civic chamber. Think of it as an unhackable mirror of citizen sentiment, built to contrast directly against what the government is actually doing. It poses a pretty vital question. If civic participation could exist beyond just Election Day, what would that even look like? The core philosophy here perfectly captures this. Quote, AI advises, citizens oversee. The blockchain signs. This elegantly balances cutting-edge tech with basic human democratic rights. The AI is there to do the heavy lifting, reading through hundreds of pages of mind-numbing legal jargon. But the citizens, we maintain the ultimate power of oversight and decision-making. And finally, the blockchain ensures that the public record of that decision is completely immutable and cryptographically secure. No taking it back.
Section 2. Trustless participation, identity and anonymity.
Let's pop the hood here for a second, because none of this matters if the system can be spoofed, rigged, or hacked, right? For a digital civic chamber to mean anything at all, it requires absolute trustless participation. You need to know that every single vote is real, but you also need to guarantee that every voter is protected. So to build that foundation of security, CivicSys uses a soul-bound identity via an ERC5192 token. Basically, think of it as a digital badge that's superglued to your wallet. It's totally non-transferable. When you register, your actual national ID is hashed or scrambled locally right inside your web browser. That means your plain text ID never even travels across the internet. For you, the everyday citizen, this means you get a highly secure digital ID that has no custody and absolutely no doxing. It can't be stolen, it can't be sold, and it can't be compromised. It's true sovereign identity.
But wait, you might naturally be wondering, if your ID is permanently tied to you, how on earth do you vote anonymously? It's a great question. CivicSys handles this paradox using a cryptographic tool called a nullifier. Think of a nullifier as a one-time invisible ink stamp derived from your identity. First, it mathematically proves you actually have the right to vote. Next, it absolutely blocks you from double voting. But the real magic is the third step. It leaves zero trace back to how you voted. The server never even sees your private key. It's true anonymous voting without any possibility of double dipping. Your wallet is encrypted directly in your browser using advanced AES GCM encryption standards. This makes your vote entirely unlinkable while keeping your identity ironclad.
Section 3. Hermes, AI for Understanding.
Okay, so here's the reality. Everyday people simply can't sit down and read hundreds of pages of dense legalese. It's just not going to happen.
That's exactly why CivicSys introduces Hermes. Hermes is a master AI agent operating from a hardened virtual server. Now, Hermes isn't just some simple script. It acts with its own identity and memory, coordinating an entire AI council to deliberate on laws. Let's look at a practical example from the source material. Imagine an everyday citizen named Carlos. Carlos hears that a new law might affect transportation in his city, but the legislative document is like hundreds of pages long. So Carlos consults the system. Hermes immediately responds with a clear, digestible summary. And the key here is that Hermes doesn't tell Carlos what to think, and it certainly doesn't replace the institutions. It acts purely as a digital advisor, translating opaque complexity into clear comprehension. Because when information is accessible, participation naturally increases. When citizens are informed, structured deliberation replaces just, noise and shouting.
Section 4. Laxica, the accountability bot. Now we arrive at what is honestly the most relentless, fascinating part of this whole ecosystem. Once the AI has helped citizens understand the law, and once the blockchain has securely and anonymously recorded their votes, it's time for accountability. Meet the accountability bot, affectionately named Laxica. Translated roughly, that means the toxic one. And honestly, it's a perfect name because Laxica is a relentless bot that simply refuses to let things go. Laxica weaponizes legislative data for the public good. So once citizens vote securely on an issue, this bot goes to work publicly exposing the exact gap between what politicians are doing behind closed doors and what verified citizens actually voted for on the blockchain. It creates this loud, completely unavoidable public record of hypocrisy.
Now, I know what you're probably thinking right now. It's the obvious, high-stakes concern. Are we really handing auditing power over to an uncontrolled artificial intelligence? Can this bot just go rogue and start publishing unchecked accusations?
Well, the answer is no, because of human-in-the-loop verification. CivicSys absolutely does not let the AI act alone. Every single public post drafted by Lyozinka remains a draft until a human verifies and approves it. It's this perfect synergy of AI speed and raw analytical power, combined with careful human judgment. The AI doesn't decide, and it definitely doesn't vote. It just provides the undeniable data for humans to act upon.
Section 5. The immutable future, a deployed reality. So this isn't just some theoretical white paper living in an academic bubble somewhere. It's a deployed reality. CivicSys is actively combating institutional laziness today, acting as a real-world infrastructure of democratic trust for the digital age. And building this kind of robust infrastructure requires a seriously impressive tech stack. We're talking Syscoin ZK rollups on an EVM-compatible chain for incredibly fast, mathematically secured privacy. It features a sleek Next.js web front-end, robust Postgres and pgvector databases for AI memory, and fully integrated bots. And crucially, the whole shebang is fully open source. By combining the scale of zero-knowledge privacy with the analytical power of AI, it takes oversight out of those smoky backrooms and puts it directly into the mathematically secured hands of the people.
Which brings us to our final thought. As major infrastructures have transformed mobility, energy, and communication, we now have the real opportunity to transform something even more fundamental: trust. The question isn't if democracy can be digitized, but how we ensure it remains human while it evolves. Think about it. When citizens finally hold an unhackable mirror that exposes exactly when a government ignores them, how quickly will those institutions be forced to adapt? It's an absolutely wild future, and it's being built right now. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next one.